Galatians 5:22-23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Bonjour, epeka to my little corner of the internet. My name is Yara de Julio, and today we're going to be talking about anger management, part 1. A couple weeks ago, I did something very, very foolish. I allowed myself to become angry and frustrated with a situation that I had absolutely no control over. So to provide some context, usually on an average day, I'd like to think I'm a fairly level-headed and calm person. I can become agitated because life is just so inconvenient at times, but for the most part, I like to think I don't get angry. And my reasoning for rarely getting angry is because if I'm calm, if my mind is calm, then there's less room to feel anxious or less room for anxiety. Same thing goes for control over my day or my agenda. If I have control over my day, if I have control over my agenda, a set schedule, then there's no room to be anxious. That being said, I was angry, and one sole thing angers me, and that is having an agenda, a task to complete, and something hindering me from doing so. What was my agenda, you might ask? What was so important that you allowed yourself to become angry? And well, since you asked with so much interest, my agenda was to be entirely to myself, holed up in my room with no interaction with anyone for the length of an evening. And instead of gaily enjoying the company of others, as I was forced to, I polluted myself with a dreadful mood. It was like a thundercloud constantly shooting bolts of anger and rage at my umbrella, when I could have simply told the cloud, I acknowledge that you're here, but you cannot stay here. I legitimately believe I have a problem. Hi, my name is Yara, and I have a problem. This is so hard for me to talk about. But yes, I have a problem, okay? How I imagine it, it's like a switch in my mind.
Then there come a time you gotta act a fool to get results.
I have routines, times, schedules, everything mapped out. But if something diverges from my schedule, even the littlest thing, the smallest thing, I'm not okay. It's like it sets a precedent for me to have a terrible day. There have been multiple times when I've had to talk myself off a ledge because my schedule had been tainted by something completely out of my control. And I've dealt with those situations gracefully, if I may add, if I may toot my own horn.
Oh my God! Oh jeez! Oh my God! Oh,
but that evening, the voice of reasoning wasn't permeating at all. I had checked out mentally. I had flatlined. It was asystole for the brain. My EEG was dead. After having my little temper tantrum, goodness, when I think about it, it sounds so terrible. So after having my temper tantrum, I spoke to my mother about this, and she described it as this. She said, the fire department can be there, the environment can be controlled, and the situation handled, and you'd still hold tightly to the card of frustration. She provided me with some sound advice, and this is what she said. Misery is an option, just as anger is an option. You can make the choice to let the joy of the Lord be upon you, or you can be miserable. And that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying you can't be angry, but you cannot stay there. End quote. After some thought, I said, what a repulsive description of one of my best attributes. I'm kidding. I kid. I'm just joking. But seriously, I made a foolish decision. I admit that I hold myself accountable. I made a foolish decision to allow myself to become angry and frustrated. And after some reflection, it is one of the most disgusting and self-loathsome feelings I have ever felt.
That's fair. Sorry. I deserve it. Ow! That one really hurt.
It is something that I must work on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call growth, character development, holding ourselves accountable, and understanding our behaviors without excusing them. In the next video, if you're interested, whether or not you're interested, I'm going to make a part 2. But in the next video, I will reveal how I'm specifically trying to manage this problem. And no, I am not a psychologist. I'm not an expert. I am just a self-diagnosing nursing student who is trying to work out her own internal problems. So in the next video, I will be discussing the technique or the tools that I'm using to help me with curbing my anger. Merci un peu for listening to my discussion. Don't be afraid to weigh in the comment section with your perspective or opinion on this discussion. I'll be more than happy to read them, and I'm always open to constructive criticism. So you're more than welcome to leave your critiques in the comment section as well. Once again, merci un peu, nowe pita. See you later.
What? Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby! But